Hello everyone, welcome to a very special stream we have going on today. I am joined by two special guests. We have the delightful Dom, aka Geek-Dom. Hello Dom. And we also have the fantastic Fran, aka Fran's
Hi.
Corner.
Hi everyone.
So yeah, we're going to be playing a game called Microscope. And Microscope is a game that I've played before, but Dom and Fran, you haven't played it at all, have you?
No.
Never.
So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to be the person teaching everyone how to play. So
You are the senpai.
I am indeed.
Yeah.
So to begin, there's a few things in the actual rulebook of Microscope that I'm going to read out because it gives a bit of a backstory to the game and how it's played. So, first of all, Microscope works differently than some other role-playing games you might have played, so let's abandon some preconceptions. You won't have a character, you won't play the game in chronological order, you may know all about the future but be surprised by the past. You'll build the story from the outside in, you'll decide the big picture, the grand scheme of history, and then burrow down and carve out the details. It's fractal gaming, so think big, you have a massive chunk of history to play around with. Also as well, the author of the game says I should read this part to you because it's really important. And it actually says that in the rulebook. It genuinely says the author asks me to read this out. So, here we go.
Okay, then you have to read this.
All of us sitting at this table, or in this Discord chat in this case, have equal creative power. All times we'll have different roles and authority, but we are all equal participants and authors. It may sound like I'm running the game because I'm going to be explaining a lot about the rules, and I may interrupt and jump in to clarify how the game is played, but I don't have any more authority than anyone else when it comes to playing the game. There is no GM. Now that we know what the game is about, we're ready to get started. Although we're not really, because I haven't fully explained the rules of the game. But that is the basic setup of it. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to quickly, for people watching and for yourselves, I'm just going to go through what everything on this screen is, because there's a lot of information here that we've sort of prepped behind the scenes. And I'm going to explain that, and then we can actually get started. I'll start the first round and give you guys a taste of how it begins.
Okay.
So, the first thing is the big picture. So this whole game is basically about creating a history. And you build a history through basically everyone having a bit of input to begin with, and we all group together and say what we like, what we don't like, and then it goes down to individual levels where each person has a different thing they want to input. The big picture is one that we all agreed on, as the health of the kingdom is bound to the life of the king. Now it is up to us to flesh that history out and explain what that means. And to do that, you have three different types of thing. You have a period, which is the overarching view of everything, and then you have the event, which is a slightly more honed in viewpoint, and then you have a scene, which is a specific scene that we actually act out. We have starting points already, and we have an end point already. You'll notice that they're marked as light and dark, which means whether it's a good time or a bad time. That's entirely subjective, and it's up to the person who's actually making that thing. They get to decide if it's light or dark. So our history begins with a banished family discovering that nature's flourishing around them, which is a good thing. It then ends with plants dying as inky clouds blot out the sun, which is a bad thing. So everything within our history fits within those two things, and we just add to it and build it up from there. There's also a thing called a palette. I'm going to ignore this legacy thing because I don't think we'll get around to that, so that can minimise. That's for like when you've been playing quite a while. The palette is things that we can discuss and things that no one can discuss. So if it's on the yes column, it's something that somebody in the group has said they're interested in, and something that they might want to get involved with. You don't have to do anything on the palette, but it's there as just a thing to say what people are looking for. So we have in the yes pile, steampunk, fantasy tropes, and natural disasters as some of the things that the group wants to talk about. We then have the no pile. Anything on the no pile flat out cannot be added to the game, so we can't mention anything to do with the things on the no pile at all. That includes space travel, hyperrealism, heirs to the king, and futuristic tech. So we can't mention any of those things. So far, is that all making sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
He sounds very
For now.
confident. You sound very confident there, Dom. Right, so what we do is we place these things. I'm going to be in charge of setting everything up. So as you suggest things, I'll add them on. We take it all in turns to suggest things. Each round is made up of every person having a suggestion, and there's one person called the lens, and the lens is a person who tells everyone else what they want to focus on. It can be something as abstract as you want to discuss space, or it could be very, very thoroughly precise and you want to talk about, say, the king himself. It could be anywhere in between. The lens basically says, this is what I want everyone to discuss, and then they all pick a subject that loosely links to that. It doesn't have to straight away, but if in your head you've got an idea that could link to it, you could potentially still play that. So, I'll be the lens for the first go to show everyone how it works. What each person will do is they can put down one period or event or scene. I would suggest on the first round not to put a scene down. So when it comes to your goes, it'll be a period or an event. If you're the lens, you get to do one option and then something that fits into it. So if I put a period down, I could also put an event. If I put an event, I could also put a scene. I couldn't put a period and a scene because they don't nest straight into each other. I also couldn't put an event for one period and then a scene for a different period. They have to follow each other. That will make more sense when you see it in action.
Just for clarification, if there's anybody that's not from our part of the world, period as in like a period of time as opposed to the full stop at the end of a sentence.
Yes, yeah, that is correct. Yeah, it's a good thing to clarify that just in case. So once everyone's had a shot, so it'll start with the lens, they'll put down one, maybe two things. It will then move to the next person, they'll do something, then the next person, they'll do something, and then the lens can actually close it off by putting another thing themselves. So in theory, the lens can put 3 things down per round. Once that's happened, it will then move to the next person to become the lens. They get to put 1 or 2 things down, then every other person gets to put 1, and then the lens gets to put a final thing. So, if that makes at least the vaguest amount of sense, we'll get started, because seeing it in action does go a lot easier.
Probably, yeah, that would be best.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
it does make sense, but I suppose like once we get like in the actual playing, then it starts to become like more clear.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. It's that thing where like I understand the words you are saying, and how they go together in a sentence, but putting them into into sort of practice and working out that that moment where it clicks and you sort of go, oh yeah, right, I get it now. Sort of
Yeah,
thing.
they are English words. They just don't sound like they should go together. So, right, so I am going to say for this round, we'll keep it nice and broad, and I'm going to put the focus on the king itself. So everything that anyone suggests has to link to the king in some way.
I love how much faith Loz has in us. You guys have this.
That's the point.
Thank
actually.
you for the cheering.
That's the point. I'll try and keep up with the chat. It might not happen too regularly because we'll probably be focused on this, but we'll dip in and out and see how it goes. So yeah, my first thing that I'm going to put down, I'm going to put a period down. So what we do, so I'll just duplicate that if it will let me. And let's put it like right behind here, for God's sake.
Thank you, Lady of Rivia.
Right, screw it. This is gonna get messy quite quickly, I think. There we go. Let's put one of those back.
Pretty standard for one of your streams, though, Ian, right?
Yeah, that's
Getting
true.
messy pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
What's
true.
new?
Nothing changes. Alright, so this is a period, so all the periods go across this bar at the top. That line should not have done what it just did. Now, I am doing this in a Google Doc, so it is going to be a bit awkward. So there we go. Right, so I want to put a light period down. So that's what we've done here. And then we're going to add what I want the period to be. So this period is going to be before the king was born. So that's what I want this period to be. So as you can see with the periods, they're quite vague. They don't have to be anything too specific. Yeah. It's then when you go into the events that you start getting into a bit more information, and then with the scenes you get very specific. So I put down that as a light option because I think the king being born is a good thing. Also then, because I'm the lens, I'm going to put down an event. I'm actually going to put a dark event though on this one. Let me just duplicate this. There we go. So events stack directly below whatever period they're part of, and then scenes will do the same under an event. So it could be that you have the period, then an event, then a scene, and then like 3 events, and then a scene for one of those events. So this event's a dark scene because it's something that I think is going to be a bad thing. This is going to be the king's... Is that even typing right? No. The king's pair... God's sake, what's wrong with me? I can't type now. Attacked. I'll make that a bit bigger. Why aren't you wrapping? Why is the text not wrapping?
Is it maybe edit style, or that's gonna edit the style of the box?
There we go. I just put a space in it. That'll do. Right, problem solved. So there we go. That's the first round. Well, my first go within the first round. I've put a period in place, and then that period has a event inside it. So, how are we going to do this? Do you want to just go in order of on the screen? So, Dom, do you want to go next? Or, Fran, would you rather go next?
Whatever it's cool for you, I'm down with that.
So what, I'm just picking some stuff from the left-hand side of the screen?
Basically, yeah. All you need to do is say if you want to put a period or an event. Like I said, I'd avoid scenes at the moment. We'll do that after we've done this round, just so you get used to how the game works. So your choices would be, you could either put an entirely new period into our history, or, pardon me, or you could add an event into the period we already have. So those would be your 2 options.
Okay, I have a problem in that obviously I've got the stream up on my phone and I can't really see the writing on any of these things. So if you give me a second, I might have to bring it up on my TV so that I can see it properly.
Sorry, do you want me to read it out to you?
Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Yep, so the periods we've got are the starting period, so anything you put would have to be after this. A banished family discover nature flourishing around them. Then we have another period where the king is born, before the king was born, and there's an event in that where the king's parents are attacked, and then the end period.
Stop, that one.
Yep.
Because the way I'm thinking about it, my brain started going, and I was thinking about this whole, the topic thing being the health of the kingdom bound to the life of the king. If we got the event that the king is born, then I am imagining that there must have been some kind of event that maybe, like, I don't know, like a curse or something like that that's placed on the unborn king, which then leads to that, you know, that event later on of the health of the kingdom being bound to the life of the king. So it has to come from somewhere in the first place, potentially.
Yeah, so would you want to put a period before... I suppose before the king is born is kind of a big period anyway, so it'd be an event, wouldn't it? So would you want to put an event into that period? Say something along the line of the king was cursed, something like that?
Well, the thing you said about the parents being attacked or something.
So you'd want to link it to that then?
Yeah, because then the idea being that maybe that through whatever the attack was, something happened, and that's what leads to this, whatever this, you know, situation is tied into the health of the king.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe at this point where they're attacked, the queen is already, or whether she's the queen or not, I don't know. But she's pregnant with the future king at this point in time.
Yeah. So what we could do then is we can put an event before they're actually attacked that is just that the queen finds out she's pregnant, potentially, and do that, and then that sets the scene that we know when they get attacked, she is already carrying the king.
Okay.
So, would you think that would be a light event or a dark event? Would you think that's a good thing or a bad thing that the queen is pregnant, or whoever this person is?
I mean, I guess it's going to be a good thing at that point.
Alright, cool. So, we do that then. So, let me... stupid. Bloody Google Docs. Why did I decide to do this in Google Docs? It seemed like a good idea at the time. There we go. Right, so we want another event. It's going to be a light event.
Oh, I like how one of my quotes for when you streamed Crash Bandicoot has just come up.
Right, so we have the king's mother finds out she's pregnant, because technically we haven't really said she's a queen, have we? We just said a banished family, so she doesn't have to be a queen. Unless someone wants to fill that gap in at some point. Which
I'm having thoughts, so yeah, I might just do that.
Right, there we go. So, now we've got the banished family, discover nature flourishing around them. Then the next event is before the king was born, and the king's mother finds out she's pregnant, but then the king's parents are attacked. So, Fran, yeah, it's your go to add a period or an event.
Yeah, so like period obviously is something even before the king was born. So like
Yeah, let me just move these over. So you want something before that period.
yeah. Cuz I'm thinking like because I'm not sure if this should be like an event rather than a period, because I'm thinking if the starting point is a banished family discovers nature's flourishing around them, maybe they just like settle roots and start like creating not maybe like a village or something, or trying to settle roots and build a house or whatever to start like settling down in that location wherever they are.
Yeah, so you could probably put that as an event inside before the king was born in that case, so it sort of all comes together. It's up to you where you'd want to place it, so it could come before they find out she's pregnant, or it could come after, or it could be that they get attacked and then they settle down after that. So the order of it would be up to you, wherever you'd want to place that.
Okay. Yeah, because then maybe it might be before the parents are attacked. Because I'm thinking like that they settled in a place they kind of shouldn't have, and that's why like nature, or let's just call her whatever, Mother Nature or some celestial being or whatever, attacks them because they're not supposed to be where they are.
That's fine. So do you want that in between finding out they're pregnant and they're attacked, or do you want that before she's even found out she's pregnant?
I think like, yeah, in between.
In between. That's cool.
Yeah.
And would you say it's a good thing or a bad thing?
Probably a bad thing, because then they get attacked. So it's not really a good thing that they decided to settle what they decided to.
Cool. Right, let me duplicate that. Move that over there. Right, so event. The king's parents begin to settle. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Cool. Right. space that out a little bit better so it actually doesn't hang off the edge of the thing. There we go. Cool. Right, so we've got a new period of before the king was born. There's a light period in general. The king's mother finds out she's pregnant. Then they begin to settle. And then the king's parents are attacked. So, now, it will come round to me, so I get to make one more choice. And again, it'll have to be focused on the king. So I'm just going to have a think. What do I want to do? Do I want to create a new period? Maybe. Actually, yeah. I'm going to make another new period, because then we'll have something a bit more to play around with. And then I'm going to put this period as a light period. And I want it that the king is officially recognised as a king. So up until this point of history, he's not actually a king yet. So once this period happens, that's when he actually gets officially recognised. And that's
in like his coronation or something.
That could be up to whoever wants to add to it. It could be a coronation, it could be that something else happens, it could be a King Arthur style thing where he pulls something out of something and people then just claim he's a king. That is entirely up to...
Maybe it could be tied in with the quote that came up that he just pulled it out of his ass.
Yeah, it could be. He became the king because he pulled something out of his ass. Right, so there we go. That's the first round. So, does that make more sense now that everyone's...
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, what we'll do then is we'll move on to a different lens. So, we'll keep doing it in the same order. So, Dom, you will become the lens.
Okay.
So you get to pick a topic that everyone needs to focus on, and then you can put down either a period, an event, or you can put a period with an event in it, or you could put an event with a scene in it, or you could just do a scene. If you wanted to do a scene, that's fine, we can talk through that, but again, I'd suggest we keep that until we've built up a little bit more of the overarching things.
Okay, so what topics do I have to pick from?
Anything you want. Anything that you want to focus on. So again, you could want to.
Unfortunately, you've sort of anchored my mind to the idea of the king pulling a thing out of a thing now.
Right.
So the topic I want to explore is that.
Right. So how the king becomes a king, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah,
but in relation to him pulling something out of something.
That's fine. You can
specifically.
That is absolutely fine.
He's a king, he can do whatever he wants, so...
That's true. So that is the thing then. So we'll go with the general overarching thing of how the king became king, but you can put an event or... I think an event's probably going to be best for this, actually, because it'll be a specific... you can then add an event saying what the king pulls out of what. So that could be...
I'm loving Lauren's reactions in the chat.
Oh, it didn't take long. Oh, also, as well, Stay Curious. Hello, how are you?
Hey, Stay Curious.
Hello.
So yeah, what do you want the king to pull out of what?
Oh, I have to say that as well. I thought I was just giving the topic.
No,
damn.
you give the topic, and you also get to put down the first card.
Again, do I just
Not at
make
all.
anything up from the top of my head, or have I got things to pick from?
No, this is entirely improvisational, so it's whatever you think will fit in this timeline. As long as it doesn't contradict anything else that's already been put down, you're fine to go with whatever you want.
Right, so the king becomes recognised as a king by pulling something out of something, but we don't want to go down the traditional sort of King Arthur route of a sword and a stone, because that would just be cliche. I don't want to devolve this and degenerate this so quickly by making it really mucky.
Also, as well, it is worth mentioning that if you pulled something out of your ass, most people aren't going to call you a king for that.
Depends what was put up there in the first place, really.
That's true. Yeah, if you had all of the crown jewels up there, then people would probably be like, actually, he must be the king, because how else would he have got them?
Maybe it was that whole thing. You know that thing about like the power was within you all along. In this way, it's quite literal. It was within him.
Yeah, he
To pull it
literally
out.
literally pulls power out of his ass.
It's a side effect of whatever the curse is. It's like, you know, something is
shits
embedded
power.
inside his bowels and he has to pull it out.
Oh dear God.
Right, so is that what you actually want, or have you got another idea? Because I can put that down if that's what you want.
I think we're going to go with that, honestly. I think
Right.
we're onto a winner there.
That's fine. So, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, it's 50-50, really, isn't it? I mean, it's sort of... it all depends on your perspective, I guess. Long-term wise, it's a good thing, because if this, whatever this is that he removes from his person is somehow, you know, gives him that, what's the word? The recognition of his kingly status, the doing of is probably not as much of a good thing.
Right, well, what I can do then, actually, thinking about it, the way you described it, I'll say this is a bad thing, because that specific event itself, although ultimately does become a good thing, as you say, pulling something out of your ass isn't always necessarily a good thing. So...
Say as well, I would like to, Your Honour, I would like to state for the record that I blame both you and Fran for putting this idea into my head.
I didn't
I
put...
didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Ian mentioned pulling things out of things, and then Fran's quote was about pulling things out of asses. So
I didn't put anything
Well-
in your head or your ass, so...
these things would not have even crossed my mind in the first place.
Blame it on Ian for playing Crash Bandicoot then. I don't even remember what was being pulled, like the character who did that. Oh yeah, you know what that was? It was actually the crystal.
Oh yeah, it was the crystal. Right, here we go. So,
Oh yeah, when he completes a level and he sort of
Yeah.
somehow he produces the crystal from somewhere.
right, so is this a succinct enough quote? The king pulls something from his ass, giving him power. Does that cover it?
The king who laid the golden turd.
Always better than vomiting, I say.
Alright, there we go. So that is now official. The king pulls something from his ass, giving him power. So now it's Fran.
Okay.
So yeah, again, you can add a period or an event or a scene, but again, I'd suggest leaving the scenes just for now. We'll start
I'm
doing
actually
scenes
thinking about adding something like in between.
in between
So
his
like
ass.
before the king became a king.
Yeah, that's fine. So we could put something in between before he was born and before he was officially recognised. Let's move this over a little bit so we've got some space.
Let me just think how I want it to put, I want to put it.
God, this history so I can't believe it. So it's taken us 5 cards. No, 6 cards to go to things falling out of someone's ass.
What are you expecting?
Well, we've only been streaming for half an hour, so like,
Yeah, we're like a quarter of the way through the stream.
yeah. Let me think, because I don't know whether I want to add a period or an event.
Yay, history! Well, story history, says Laura.
God, imagine if this was actual history. Like, this is how we got our monarchy.
I know. I mean, I can imagine this being told through like horrible histories.
Yeah.
So, like, if I put an event,
Mhm.
can then like come back to it and add stuff afterwards?
If you add the event into one of the already existing periods, yes.
No, like in between.
No, in that case you would have to start with the period. So
Okay,
events can only ever go inside the period, same with scenes can only ever go inside the events.
Okay.
But you could lay groundwork for something that you want to come back to as a period.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put a light period and say the King Young Days or something like that.
Yeah, that's fine. So let's have
The King's Youth.
King's Youth. There we go. Oh, I spelled youth wrong. I don't know why I put a G in there. I really do not know. But yeah, there we go. So the King's Youth. Alright, so now it's up to me to add something along the lines of the king pulling something out of his ass. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting this to go the way it has, so I haven't got anything planned. What can we do? So he's officially recognised as a king. Something pulled out of his ass that gives him power. I am going to go back to before the king was born, maybe, actually. And I'm going to add a light event. Because I have an idea. And I think it's going to come after his parents have been attacked. And it's going to be Woodland Spirits protect the embryo of the king.
Ooh. Okay.
So that could potentially tie back to what he finds in his ass. I would have to spell embryo right as well. And now my mouse is going weird. There we go. So yeah, that is what I am adding. I've added an event to before he was born. Woodland spirits protect the embryo of the king, and it's a good thing. So now, to close out this round, Dom, you get to add one more card. So you can either put a new period, or you can add another event.
Such a cop-out, man. I was waiting for you to come up with what the article was that he pulled out of his ass.
Well, what I'm thinking is, with something like that, that would be a scene. Because with scenes, you ask a question, and then you act out that scene until you get the answer. So I'm thinking that would make a good scene to say what was pulled from the king's ass. So we'll hold on to that one for now, and then when we get round to doing the actual scenes, we can potentially use that one.
Right, so what am I doing now then? I'm adding what?
You can add a new event or a new period. So again, just something around the king that you want to expand on. So it could be something around maybe what, like the item itself, what happens to the item or something like that, or it's up to you. Something, either a new period entirely or a new event that fits around the king.
Why don't we jump ahead of, like, after he's recognised as a king, and having it that he, as a result of this artifact, this object, it allows him to bring great prosperity and a happiness to the kingdom. So we're going to have this sort of up point, you know, where everything's great, but then there'll be a twist and everything will sort of change due to the whole health of the kingdom bound to the king thing. But on the surface, initially, it will look like a good thing. So it'll be like, hey, we've been recognised, now he's in power, and, you know, he's brought this great prosperity to the kingdom, but then things will take a darker turn.
Sounds good. So, a new period after he's been recognised. A new age of prosperity begins.
A golden age.
And I'm guessing it's a light period.
Golden age of ass.
God. Right, fine. So, that ends Dom's round, thank God. Right, so now it is over to you, Fran. So you get to pick the topic for all of us to add to, and then you get to put a card down.
I'm gonna say that I'd like the topic focus to be on the actual curse.
Yeah, cool. So around the curse sounds like a good one. And then yeah, you get to put down a card as well.
So like either a period or an event.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put a dark event under the king's youth
Yeah.
because I think it's like the act that I'm gonna say itself, it's not a good act. So I think there should be a dark thing. And is the king still something sacred from the woodland spirits?
Ooh.
Okay, so something along the lines of the king's powers revealed, maybe something like that. Is that the sort of thing you're going for?
Yeah, because basically that's what's settled, like the big, let's call it the beginning of what will be the curse.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah.
hold on, wait. Sorry, can I just interject?
Yeah.
Are we abandoning the idea of the curse sort of being placed upon him prior to his birth then?
Well, there's nothing so far that says it is. So it's not directly contradicting anything. So this is where the game gets interesting, because someone can add something that throws a spanner in the works for other people's ideas, e.g. things being pulled out of asses. So unless it contradicts something, then we wouldn't be able to put it down. But this technically wouldn't, because the woodland spirits protected the embryo. There's no curse has been placed yet. So it could be that that was actually placed beforehand, or if we do this, we could say that we're going on the king being born and then being cursed. So in theory, as long as you're not contradicting anything that anyone else has put before, you can add whatever you want, essentially. So if Fran wanted to put something about the king's power being revealed now, it could be that one of us puts something that says that that doesn't have any impact in the future, which sounds kind of shitty in a way, because it's kind of like basically saying, nope, I don't like your idea, this is what's going to happen instead. But that's kind of what the game is. Like, everyone has their own input to say, and then it's sort of reacting to how other people think the story's going to go. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Okay.
Right, so for this event then, so you want the king's power to be noticed by other people. Is that the sort of thing that you're going for? So that people start to notice that he's got some sort of gift or something like that?
Or like something is not quite right with the king.
Alright, so would you want it that the king himself notices that, or would you want it that others notice it about him?
Maybe the king himself.
Yeah, cool. So the king, maybe the king starts to notice he's different from others, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The king starts to notice he's different.
Oh god, my
Others.
mind's going now thinking about what makes him different based on what happens next.
I mean, the fact that he's got something rammed up his arse. that
Yeah,
makes
I was
it-
going to say, it means that he's never able to sit down.
Although, having said that,
That's what
There's-
makes him different. It's like, everybody else sits down, but for some reason I can't.
though, there's nothing to say that he's always had this up his arse. Someone could just put an event before that saying somebody shoved something up the king's arse. In theory. So, right, we've got a new dark period, a new dark event in the king's youth, where the king starts to notice... What? I have completely spelt that wrong. I don't even know what happened there, what I was trying to write. King starts to notice he's different from others. Alright, there we go.
Yes, Lauren, it's going to be 18 rated for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna get banned for this. Right. So now it's my turn. I get to add something. So the focus is the curse in general. I'm gonna add another new period because I want to flesh some stuff out with that So I'm going to move these over. I wish you could just drag and select stuff without causing a problem, but it doesn't seem to be working. Unless, hang on, does that work? It sort of works. And then I do that and it just doesn't work at all. Brilliant. Yay, way to go, Google Docs. You're free for a reason.
I panicked for a moment. I was looking at your stream description, and for some reason in my head I saw family friendly, and I was like, wait.
Oh, no, I am definitely not.
Then I checked again, and I was like, no, thank God for that.
I have never once confirmed I am family friendly. Alright, so let's add a dark period. And this dark period... Oh, that just deleted the whole thing. Perfect. Fucking Google Docs. I don't think I'm ever going to get that sponsorship with Google. Right, the King's Isolation.
Ooh.
So there we go. And in the dark period, after the new age of prosperity begins, the King's Isolation. And it's round to you.
Sorry. I was going to say, Lauren's loving the background change. I noticed that too. When you put in the dark event, it's turned to like a nighttime scene.
Ah, that wasn't intentional. It is just on a loop, but that times quite nicely then.
Feels kind of perfect with what we're doing, actually.
Stay Curious has asked, did you add the secret D hammer? No, we've not got a dick hammer yet.
Not yet.
I was going to say, that's probably going to be what he pulls from his ass. So, yeah, we haven't got that yet. But it is Dom's turn.
Is his name Thor? By any chance, then?
Actually, we haven't even named the king yet, have we? Oh well, someone can do that at some point. So yeah, Dom, it's your go to put something down related to the curse.
Okay, so what was the last thing you put? The King's Isolation.
Yeah.
And what's the light event before that that says a new age of prosperity begins?
Yeah.
So we have a new age of prosperity, then the King's Isolation.
Yep.
So something occurs from the prosperity to that point. So Curse of the Llama. Yes, thank you. What could happen that makes him go into isolation?
It's interesting.
Ooh. Okay. So again, if we're tying it back into the big picture theme, so between the
Laura suggested bad breath.
between the period of between the age of prosperity and then the isolation, as the kingdom continues to flourish and everything is good for everybody, the king starts to notice that he's getting weak, or he's finding himself becoming unwell, and that's what then leads to his isolation. So then it's almost as if, I mean, I don't know whether I'm jumping ahead by saying this, but it's almost as if the newfound prosperity and the wealth and the happiness of the kingdom is somehow leeching off of the king, which would then tie into the health of the kingdom being bound to the king, because if the king then starts becoming ill as a result of the kingdom flourishing, then his illness can then flip things on its head and make things start going bad for the kingdom.
Right, okay.
So he heads into isolation, because he's worried about what's happening to him.
That's fine. So what we can do then is a dark event in a new age of prosperity begins then. So that can be like the bookend event of that period, and have the king notice he's ill.
That makes sense, what I just said as well.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. The only thing I'd say is, it is one of the things with events is they're still quite loose, so it wouldn't have all that information you've gone into with it, but you could then revisit and add more events to build that up. So what we could do is we could start it with a dark event that is just the king notices that he's ill, something like that. So that would be the event. So the king, no, why am I capitalizing every word? Notices he's ill. There we go. Right, so yeah, we've got a dark event in a new age of prosperity begins. The king notices he's ill. So, Fran, you get one more card to put down related to the curse, and then that's the end of that round.
Let's see.
I just noticed it's all over the place with the dark and the light, isn't it? Quite like that, the ups and downs of it all.
Just like the ups and downs of those lovely hills on your background there.
Yeah. Do you know what? It took me ages to make that. It took me longer to set up that background, like creating it and having the colour changes and everything than it did to actually set up the rest of this stream.
I'm actually gonna add a light period and say the king's birth.
Okay, so I know it's kind of implied, but I'm guessing that's going to be between before the king was born and the king's youth.
Yeah.
That's kind of normally how it happens.
Yeah, you never know. It could be that there's some strange goings on. His mum might be a giant and he gets born inside the womb, fully sized, and then just walks out.
Ian's not a dad yet. What do you mean? So he doesn't know quite how it works.
How is Babby born?
Well, that could have been a curse, Lauren.
Oh, first, I don't want to be. Alright, I'm going to put that a bit higher up so I don't keep accidentally grabbing it. There we go. Move all of these over a bit. What's interesting as well is generally that most of the periods are quite light. It's just the events happening within them take a dark turn.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so there we go. So, new period in the birth of the king. Right,
Game of Thrones eat your heart out. Yes, Lauren.
Right, so
I mean, it ties in with the whole ass thing, and you know, being that throne is like a sort of slang thing for a toilet. So
basically,
kind of is Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he sat on a throne, had a shit, and then they said, "Wow, we have never seen anyone do that before. He must be king material." Oh god!
I'm telling you, it was a golden turd.
Stay Curious said, yeah, it's 2 hours of work, and then would really like to catch some of it. Unfortunately, I think we'll probably have ended by then, unless you're happy to stay on longer. I mean, it's entirely up to everybody, but I think we were going to end at 8, weren't we?
Yeah, I think we'd said 6 to 8, didn't we?
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, we'll probably be done before you finish work, Stay Curious, but the VOD will be up, and usually what I do is I put all of my highlights as the entire episode. So it'll be available forever. The majesty
Lauren,
of the ass.
We want a Netflix show.
Yeah. I think films nowadays, they're going downhill with COVID. We need Netflix more than ever.
Or what would it be? HBO, so that then it can be really graphic.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, if we had HBO, they might actually put it out at cinemas as well and screw us over funding wise. Like they have so many other directors. So yeah, right.
Aiming for Netflix then.
Yeah. I was just in caps, all the turds. Stay Curious says you'll watch the VOD after for sure. Still here but can't hear much because he's in a Discord call with work team. Invite them into our Discord call. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. We'll merge the two worlds.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't get you fired at all.
Yeah, Stay Curious in his new job, and
yeah. Right. Okay. So I am back to be in the lens again. So I think now that we've done a cycle of everybody being the lens, we can start adding scenes if we want. So I think now is probably a good time to start doing that. I'm not going to start with a scene though, I don't think, because I'm going to pick as the overall focus the woodland spirits.
I want to see that show.
What show is that?
Customer Support Kingdom.
Oh yeah. Oh. Alright, so yeah, the focus of this round is going to be the woodland spirits.
Okay.
And
Good.
what I want to do is in the King's Isolation, I want a dark event. And the woodland spirits become... I'm trying to think how to word this.
What are you going for? What's your idea?
My idea is that the woodland spirits don't die, but they start to become more modern, so they fuse with machinery. So I'm thinking maybe just something like the woodland spirits. Yeah. So I'm thinking something like, the woodland spirits fuse with machinery.
So they've got some kind of mechanical evolution.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking we don't have anything in the no pile that says anything about tech in general. It's only future tech.
Well, you have steampunk, so
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I'm thinking
That
something
could
like
work.
that. So when the king goes into isolation, the woodland spirits start becoming more mechanical.
Steampunk, like wood nymphs and dryads and things.
Yeah. So yeah, woodland spirits start becoming more mechanical. I think that pretty much sums up what I'm trying to go for, I think. There we go. So yeah, it is now Dom's turn to add something about woodland spirits.
Okay, what was the... I'm just trying to go back, look back. Something about, what did the king stole something?
Right, I'll read through the whole thing actually, because if there's anyone that's dropped in that hasn't heard so far. So we've got the starting point is the banished family discover nature flourishing around them. Then the next period is before the king was born, which has the king's mother finds out she's pregnant, the king's parents begin to settle, the king's parents are attacked, and woodland spirits protect the embryo of the king. Then we've got a period, the birth of the king. Then another period, the king's youth. The king starts to notice he's different from others. Then the next period is the king is officially recognized as a king. The king pulls something from his ass, giving him power. And then a new period of a new age of prosperity begins. The king notices he's ill. And then the king's isolation. Woodland spirits become more mechanical. And finally, plants die as inky clouds blot out the sun. So
An idea.
There's nothing steely-wise going on.
I have an idea. I thought Fran said
yeah,
about...
it was like the thing that I initially mentioned, but then you interjected and we switched to the king's noticing that he's different from others.
Oh yeah, sorry. I
No, it's
still
alright.
had that in my head that like he had done something to piss them off, and that's what. Yeah.
I mean, you could
Okay.
add that he's done something to piss the woodland
Yeah.
spirits off.
No. I want to take it back to the starting event.
Okay. Yeah.
To the after the banishment, banished family. What's it? Discover nature flourishing around them.
Yeah.
So we've got that, and then we've got the whole thing about like the queen or whatever she is finding out she's pregnant, right?
Yeah.
Then they get attacked. Then the nature spirits protect the embryo. So I'm thinking of a tying in event, like at the beginning there, where, and
Oh,
you know,
God.
keeping things devolving into depravity.
I was gonna say I don't like the chuckle.
But also in keeping with sort of mythology and stuff like that. So they, after the banishment, and they notice nature flourishing around them, and they're taken in by the woodland spirits and creatures who then get them to engage in some kind of ceremonial.
Because I just got an idea about that.
I was
Right.
going to say they sort of take part in some kind of ceremonial orgy type event, fusing humans and nature spirits in a frenzy of sexual ecstasy.
So it
and
is
then
Wicker
shortly
Man,
after
basically.
that, then you discover the queen is pregnant, and then that would maybe tie in with why the nature spirits are protecting the embryo, because they're somehow involved in its creation.
Okay, so we want a Wicker Man
You just gave
scenario
me an
potentially.
idea.
Right, is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing?
A good thing. I mean,
Good thing.
you know, it's sort of a hedonistic orgy, so why would it not be a good thing?
Fair enough. Right, so light
I'm
event.
reading fanfic.
Light event before the king's mother finds out she's pregnant. So woodland spirits entice the family into an orgy.
Yeah.
Woodland spirits entice the family into an orgy. Right.
Because, you know, that's the thing with, like, you know, pagan things and nature
Yeah.
spirits. And that. There's always, you know, it's always sort of sacrifices of blood and offerings of, like, sex and things like that. So it all
Yeah,
kind of
it's-
ties in, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of fertility stuff. So,
Yeah.
just trying to move that.
Yeah, Lauren is loving this.
I'm sure she is. Alright, there we go. So woodland spirits entice the family into an orgy. And then the king's mother finds out that she's pregnant. Alright. I have a feeling this is going down the Jesus route, although more if God actually had sex with Mary. So yeah, this is taking an interesting turn. Fran, what would you like to add about woodland spirits?
Okay.
Lauren just said Jesus orgies. Yes.
Or was that Jesus orgies or Jesus orgies?
I'm guessing there's no comma, so I'm just going to go with Jesus orgies. Many, many Jesuses, all holding hands. and
Jezai.
other
Is that
things.
what a collection of Jesuses are called? Jezai.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of Jezai holding each other's... Oh god, I do hope no one watching this is religious.
I know what you're talking about. I'm a good Catholic boy.
Family friendly.
Yeah. Stay
Why
curious.
would Catholics watch this one?
Stay Curious has said, the weird thing now is that I wear 2 headsets for here and work and listening in English and talking in Bulgarian. I've just got the image now, Stay Curious in the middle of his meeting just going, Jesus orgies.
Fun
I'm
time to my brain.
thinking to add an event under the A New Age of Prosperity begins.
Oh, sorry, I'm just reading. Lauren said that if Stay Curious loses his job, it's my fault. I'm not the one suggesting orgies and things coming out of arses.
Let me think. How do I want to put it? Okay, I'm gonna add a dark event under A New Age of Prosperity, and it's the woodland spirits. Actually, if I talk about the actual kingdom, because the way I was thinking is like the basically nature, so like plants and trees and stuff, starts to deteriorate.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm thinking like, considering there's an event like the king notices is ill, if his life is tied to the health of the kingdom, then the woodland spirits then are weakened.
Yeah. So yeah, we could do an event then that says after the king notices he's ill, the woodland spirits start to lose their power, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The woodland spirits start to lose. That's not lose, that's loose. Lose their power.
God. My brain needs washing out with soap and water, I tell you.
Why? What have you thought
Baking
of now?
soda.
I was just thinking about the whole thing with the wood, the woodland spirit noticed that their wood is getting flaccid.
Dom!
The trees start to wilt.
Oh my god.
They ain't got wood no more.
Oh, Jesus. Right, I think... So I've got to put one more thing down, and I think I'm going to run an ad quickly, so everyone can calm down.
Yeah, but I think it's best.
Right, so, what do I want?
Getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here.
Alright, oh god, what can I put now? I've just got the idea of wilting trees in my head now.
To come up with some kind of medieval Viagra.
Oh, jeez. Right, so I'm thinking maybe something in the birth of the king, because that's looking a little bit sparse at the moment. We've not really done anything in that period.
And you're still putting the woodland spirit, or is it your turn to be the lens?
No, so it'll still be linked to the woodland spirits, so this will be the end of this round about the
okay.
woodland spirits. Do you know what? I've got an idea. It's not necessarily a light or dark thing that's going to happen, so I'm going to put it as a light event, because we've not got too many light events happening. And that event is the king is born with a greenish hue. There we go. So yeah, to finish this off, the king is born with a greenish hue. So again, it's not really a light or a dark thing, so I suppose it leans more towards light, just for the fact that it's more just an observation that people have noticed when he's born. So yeah. And I think what we'll do, like I say, we'll run a quick ad, so we'll be right back in a moment. And we're back with the smuttiest woodland creatures you've ever seen. And I believe it is now Dom's turn to be the lens, so Dom gets to pick the category we're talking about and then add something to the list of things.
Okay, so I want to okay, the birth, right? So the birth of the king.
Why am I not surprised?
I'm just thinking about establishing a place, like where this happened, because okay, so what we still need to establish here as well is, are they royalty already and they have this child, or are they regular folks and then by virtue of this magical artifact, similar to Arthur pulling he was just a regular kid. He wasn't royalty, but because of him pulling the sword out of the stone and showing he had the power, like He-Man. When he held aloft Excalibur, he said, "I have the."
When he pulled Excalibur from his arse and wielded it off his head.
I feel like
he became royalty. So it's like, is that the situation here where he becomes royal? Like, he's not from royal blood, they are regular people.
So would you want the focus in that case to just be his parents then, in general? So everything has to focus around them, and then you could put
it's more, this is why I'm trying to work out the placement of the birth, because if they are, they found themselves banished. Were they royalty that were banished because somebody usurped their kingdom, or were they banished for some other reason? Are they just regular people? In which case, that potentially dictates where the birth would happen and stuff. Going along the idea I've potentially got in my head, or if they were royal, then the birth would potentially take place within like a castle or something like that with attendants and things. But it's trying to figure out this, establishing who exactly the parents are or what their status is.
Yeah, so I'd probably say, in that case, the focus is best being around the parents, and then for your go, you can then dictate, so it'd be your choice, basically. You could put an event to basically say that when they were banished, they were stripped of any previous nobility, or it could be that they left with that intact because someone took over instead of them, or something like that. That could maybe work, and then have it as an event within the starting period. Because the start and end periods, although they are the start and the end, they can still have events within them as well. So you could potentially do something like that, maybe.
Okay.
Also, like, there's another question that pops into my mind. Like, when he becomes king, are they still alive?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, we've not covered that. So yeah.
We have like a twist thing, like in a lot of these stories, the mother dies in childbirth.
No.
You could have a whole situation where the father dies, like she has the baby and he has like a heart attack or something.
Oh shit, it's a boy.
And then she has to bring the child up on her own.
Or an even bigger
Well,
plot twist.
I would assume because the child is green, obviously it could be not his child.
I was going to say, it could be even bigger plot twist that the king's mum finds out she's pregnant, but then the dad gives birth to the actual king and she gives birth to someone else.
To a tree.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, I want to go down this route. I want to go down the route that the queen, the mother is nobility.
Yeah.
And the event that got them banished was the fact that she fell in love with this guy who is actually
An oak.
from the forest. He's a forest person, not necessarily a forest spirit, but he's some kind of forest person who is tied to the forest, and that's why they end up back in the forest and why it flourishes around them, because it's like, come back to my, not like quite in a Shrek type way of come back to my swamp.
So like a wood elf
like,
or something like that. Or
yeah,
like a
like
hunter.
he's like a
Lumberjack?
no, I'm thinking more like as in like the whole sort of the Green Man type sort of druidic
the Jolly Green Giant.
like
a plant sim.
yeah, he's like maybe he is some kind of like not an ent, but like he's some kind of
Tree
like,
bit
human,
just walks in.
some kind of human forest being hybrid thing, and that's what leads them to get banished, because it's like, oh, this is unnatural, this is kick you out of the kingdom if you choose to shack up with this
I've told you
creature,
before, stop fucking Treebeard.
Yeah.
Get out of the kingdom.
It's
told you
like
it's a
that
bad
guy, what's his name? That guy in The Witcher, who was in love with the queen's daughter, but it wasn't like a human being, it was like a creature or something.
Oh, in the TV one, the porcupine guy.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
that in turn,
the only difference that he was cursed, but this guy is an actual creature.
that in turn as well, that's drawn from an older, that's like is it Brothers Grimm story or something? Is it called Hans my Hedgehog or something?
I
Where
don't know.
the guy is
Hans my
cursed.
hedgehog. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Sounds
something
good.
like that, and he's cursed to transform into kind of like a hedgehog person. I remember the story vividly. I don't know if you guys, Fran might not be aware of it. I don't know if it was shown in Italy or anything, but there used to be a show called The Storyteller. It was Jim Henson, and
No.
it was I want to say it was John Hurt that was the storyteller, and then there were all these different fairy tales. And all of the, the creatures and that were all Jim Henson's puppets and things like that. And that was one of the ones they did was called Hans my Hedgehog, which was about this guy that got cursed and was transformed into this humanoid hedgehog creature who would then shed his skin on like a full moon or something. And it was, it was a typical fairy tale thing of like, the love kiss type, somebody
Yeah.
looking beyond his appearance and seeing his true beauty, which would break the curse and allow him to become a person again. But I think that's probably where they got that idea from for The Witcher in the first place, was from that story.
I have never heard of that story or that program, but I do like the sound of it. It does sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Homework, kids. Look it up.
Right, so are we going to say this is a dark event or a light event?
I mean, on one hand, the falling in love thing obviously is a light thing, but the dark thing, I suppose, as a result of her falling in love with, falling in love with someone she shouldn't fallen in love with, is...
If I get a music
Probably-
strike against me.
That's why I didn't quite do the right words. I sort of changed it slightly. As a result of, she loses everything. She loses her right to the throne, her kingdom, her family, by virtue of falling in love with this being from the forest. So I suppose that would be a dark situation, really.
Alright, let's go with that. So are we saying that she is royalty herself? Then would you say that she's like a princess, or she's just nobility? So you want her to be a princess. Okay. The princess is banished for falling in love with. So what are we saying is? Are we saying like not necessarily a spirit, but just someone who lives in the woods? Is it is it Radagast? Is she falling in love with Radagast?
Sylvester McCoy is in the woods.
Forest creature?
Yeah, like not a spirit, not like a I'm not saying he's like a dryad or a nymph or something like this, but he's something not quite human. He's sort of maybe appears human, but he's actually of the forest. He's some kind of being. And maybe you can have it just slightly ambiguous, of what exactly he is.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Yeah, we could probably leave that. So falls in love with a creature who lives in the forest, and just leave it at that. Then, yeah.
Legolas, says Laura.
I still think Treebird.
I just love that. Yeah, that idea. That whole ties into the whole trees thing as well. Now, before going back to the whole tree, it brings a whole meaning to tree hugging, doesn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, as well, it raises two questions.
Go on.
So, if it is Treebird, either he has the smallest tree penis in the world, or she can take quite a pounding. So, yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh, Laura just said Evil Dead vibes. It's consensual. It's all consensual. She asked Treebeard. He's a gentleman. He took her out for dinner first. Had a nice night, a couple of glasses of wine.
Some roots and twigs.
Yeah.
And some sap.
Well, wouldn't that be cannibalism for him, though?
What if he was eating roots and twigs?
Yeah, I would have thought he would have just like ate squirrels and stuff like that nested in him. That would be like his like when you catch food in a beard and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that was there.
Rummaging around in his branches and it's like, oh, I got this magpie and this squirrel.
Yeah.
Dinner's on me, quite literally.
Yeah, so he invited her to eat dinner off his face, and and then it went from there. Oh my god, the quote that's just come up.
That is like perfect, your quote.
I know where to put my face.
Oh god, timing. Lauren also says to give her splinters. Right, so whose turn is it then? Dom, you've just gone, so
think
Fran.
It's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something about the parents then.
Oh shit, I've just realised I put that as a period. That was meant to have been an event. So while you're thinking, I'm just going to swap that around.
I'm thinking.
Thinking.
Yeah. A dark event under the birth of the king,
Yep.
and it's gonna be that the father basically tries to not really sacrifice, but give the baby to the woodland spirit.
Cool. So would you say that's before they notice the greenish hue or after?
After.
After. Cool. Right, so the king's father.
Or actually, it's still gonna be a dark event, but actually I'm gonna turn to the king's father. Tries to hide the baby from the woodland spirits.
Alright, cool. King's father tries to hide the baby from the woodland spirits. Right, there we go. So a dark period that comes after they've noticed the greenish hue. King's father tries to hide the baby from the woodland spirits. Right, okay. What can I add to this? I've got an idea, but I'm just trying to think where I might put it. I'm thinking that given that his father is something like woodland based, that rather than dying, the dad becomes a plant, like, you know, in Annihilation. I don't know if any of you have seen Annihilation, but if not, there's a bit in that where people start to turn into flowers and they become like a perfect shape of a human, but the DNA has been changed to flowers.
Oh.
So I'm thinking something like that. So the dad basically does die, but he doesn't die. He just becomes a flower in the shape of a person. But I'm just trying to think where I'd put it.
As of him being tied in with the, like, being some kind of nature being, that would make sense as well.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe in his youth, because we were talking about having it so that one of his parents died when he was young.
Could it be like a sort of punishment for trying to hide the baby?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like, it's a dark thing. So when the king's young, his dad basically gets turned into a human-shaped flower, basically. So he just looks like a carefully, like topiary sort of thing in the shape of him.
Yeah.
But it's flowers rather than a hedge. So something like that. So yeah, I think I'm going to add it when he was young. So in the king's youth.
Mate, what about it being tied into the actual fact of him siring a child in the first place, that sort of having a child with a mortal somehow that sort of has an effect on him, and it's like, well, now I have to become one with the forest. I can't
Yeah.
leave with you or go off, and we can't live a life together. It's like my line will carry on with this child, but I can't be with you because that is just the way of things within my whatever species he is.
Ooh.
And that's when he then turns into like a flower or whatever.
I just had a thought, actually. I'm just looking.
So it adds that tragic nature to it as well.
Yeah. Oh shit. The browser encountered an error while decoding video. Is the stream up for everybody? Is it still working? Is that just my end?
Yeah, still working.
Alright,
I
Yeah,
can see you right now.
That's
I'm
fine.
actually
Brilliant.
looking at the stream.
Cool. That's fine. It's just my end. I just refreshed it and it's working again. Right. I'm just thinking, like, yeah, taking that on board, like the whole, like, the father hiding the son has to die for it. I've had another idea that might sort of stem from that in a way.
STEM.
You come for the ass pulling, you stay for the puns.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, wouldn't that boy, like, if he dies before he's young, then he wouldn't be able to try to hide the baby?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to put it before the king starts to notice he's different. So I've got an idea. I don't want to give it away too much because I don't want to taint other ideas that people have. But there's something that, if I get the chance to, I wouldn't mind playing around with. So... the king's father turns into a human-shaped... I'm trying to think, a human-shaped flower arrangement. That sort of describes what I'm thinking.
So not just one flowers, but a bunch of flowers?
Yeah, because in Annihilation, the way it happens is that their DNA gets changed, and basically, like from wounds that they had, flowers start to grow until eventually it replaces their entire DNA, and they just become like a pile of flowers, but they're still in human shape. It's really hard to describe it without seeing the film, but it essentially is like a flower arrangement that still looks like it's a human in the way it's shaped.
Yeah, my brain now is. I don't know whether you watched any of the new
I'm
Wurzel.
googling it.
Did you
'Cause
watch
I
any
have
of the
no
new,
idea.
Did you watch any of the new Wurzel Gummidge
No, I've not.
with Stephen Merchant as Wurzel Gummidge?
No, I've not seen any of that. I didn't even know
There's
that was a thing.
Yeah, they've only had a couple, like Christmas time and stuff like that. But there's one of the scarecrows in that is like a flower person. It's like
Yeah.
they're not like a
Oh,
straw
I see.
scarecrow. They're like all made up
Yeah.
of like flowers and things like that. So that's what sort of in my mind when you were explaining that. It's like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. It might be similar. But yeah, basically, instead of the dad dying, he just turns into a bunch of flowers that are still human-shaped.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at the
Yeah.
picture because I just googled it. Yeah.
And what I'm thinking is that happens before the king starts to notice he's different. And like I say, I have an idea in my head about where that's going to lead, but we'll find out, because I believe it's your turn now, isn't it, Dom?
Is it? Okay. So I want to head back in now. Now that we've set the tone and we've set who the people are and things like that, the event of the birth is where I want to go.
Right, okay.
So we're going to have it that she gives birth in the woods, and it's almost like the what are they called in South Park? The animals.
Man, bear, pig.
No. What are they called? I was going to say the Happy Tree Friends. It's not the Happy Tree Friends. The animal, and they all look sweet and innocent, but they're actually all like psycho killers that worship the devil.
I don't know. I've not watched South Park in
I
years.
get what I know the reference, but I don't know what they actually called.
Lawrence just said
They're
blood
all like-
orgy.
Blood orgy, yeah. They all look. It's a Christmas special or something, and there's all of these cute little woodland animals, and they can all talk. But
Yeah.
then it turns out that they're all like Satanists and stuff like.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
woodland
of a
critters. There we
bunny.
go. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, Lauren got it. Woodland critters. That's it. So I'm imagining that kind of thing where she like gives birth, and it's like a full moon, and there's like lots of animals come, almost like in a weird paganistic sort of bastardization of the virgin birth of like Mary giving birth in a stable with animals around and stuff, but this is like in the middle of like a clearing in the woods with the full moon and creatures, not just creatures we're familiar with, but other things. You just see sort of eyes and things in the bushes and stuff like that, and they're all there to witness this birth.
Yeah, because you would assume like the king's father is not the only woodland creature that they have like in the spirits.
Right, so
And you have your sort of your dryads and your fauns and your nymphs
Exactly.
and your
Yeah.
elves and things like that, and tree creatures and what else, just sort of there all on the periphery of this thing, just like
Yeah.
shapes and hooves and horns and creatures all just around while she's giving birth.
Yeah, so would you say that's a light or a dark period?
Hello,
Games
it
in
all
Gloss.
depends. Hey, Glass! I don't know, it all depends, because, going back to, obviously Lauren's comment of blood orgy and things like that,
What have we done
depends
with
on
our
what-
lives?
it depends on what form of mythology you want to go for, because, you've got the Disneyfied version of, woodland spirits and that. They're all, nice and happy and floaty, and everybody's lovely. But then if you look into older, folklore and fairy tales and stuff, they're not. Fairies kidnap babies and things like this.
Well-
So I see it as being slightly darker.
Yeah. Well, it's all entirely down to you, so if you want it as a dark thing, then that is absolutely a-okay. So let's go with a dark event.
Yeah, Lauren says it's light because it's new life, but same time dark because folklore can get dark. Yeah, exactly.
Right, so...
Glossy, what on earth are you guys talking about? We're making up a very twisted story about tree people fucking women and having green-skinned children that pull something out of their asses and become the ruler of a kingdom.
And then their death causes an entire city to collapse, essentially.
Yeah.
And there's also steampunk elements in there.
Right,
Perfect Netflix
so-
material, I'll say.
Yep.
So, I'm trying to think of how to word this. So, the mother gives birth surrounded by woodland creatures and spirits. Would that be the general gist of it? Yeah.
But like I said, setting the scene, it's full moon, there's a clearing, it's all it's misty and ethereal looking and stuff like that. It's not just like a regular, it's just a regular night, just gonna have a baby,
As you do on a Wednesday evening. Just-
Having a baby, must be Wednesday.
It's hump day anyway. So.
So the mother gives birth.
I mean, you
under
could
full
push it
moon.
even further, and you could say it's like a blood moon, or it's an eclipse, or something like that, or it's the equinox or something,
Right, so should we do that? A mother gives birth under a blood moon, surrounded by woodland creatures.
There we go. That's going on the program synopsis to Netflix. It's like if George R.R. Martin got his hands on Disney, says Lauren.
Yeah, that's like the elevator pitch. Like when we're trying to sell it to them, it's like, have you ever thought about what would happen if George R.R. Martin wrote a Disney film? Because boy, have we got the story for you. Alright, there we go. So yeah, a dark period, a dark event even that happens. The mother gives birth under a blood moon surrounded by woodland creatures. So that is the end of that round about the family. So now it is
You're welcome.
over to Fran. Yeah.
Okay.
Fran gets to pick a category and then put a card down.
Let me think.
Lauren said, imagine the merch, we'd be rich. Lauren's trying to
Yeah.
muscle in on our idea here, I think.
I want to focus on the curse still, because we haven't there's still too much that we haven't picked or settled about the actual curse.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
So I'm thinking.
God, this history
I'm
is...
gonna put a dark event under the king's youth and say that the curse manifests itself for the first time
Yep.
when the king accidentally wills
accidentally rubs himself against an elm tree.
no when basically kills an entire camp of flowers. Is that camp the word? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what you would call a group of flowers.
You know, like a field of flowers.
Oh, like a field.
That's what I wanted to
So
say.
he accidentally like, just burned that. He basically like that bit in Far Cry 3 when you got the flamethrower and the weed garden. He's just gonna torch.
No, really, because I recently watched a Korean drama, and basically it was kind of half modern, half fantasy, because there were gods in it, and one of these gods had this power that basically it just like put his hand on over these flowers, and they kind of like wilted and turned black.
Ah, right. So yeah, so
So-
he touches them and then like passes
Yeah.
the curse onto them, almost that sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So curse manifests for the first time when he's walking through a field of flowers, potentially just walking through, like brushing his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything's like dying as he goes past it. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
I can
'Cause,
see
yeah.
that visually in my mind. I'm just picturing that now.
Yeah, because
Like the camera pulls out and you can just see
Yeah.
behind him just all these flowers wilting and going brown and stuff like that.
So the curse manifests for the first time when he walks through a field of flowers and they start dying.
Yeah.
Right, cool. There we go. Do you want that to come before his father turned into a plant? Or, actually, I suppose it wouldn't really come before
No,
he starts
just
to
leave
notice
it
he's
where
different.
you put
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right. What can we add then for the curse?
Because then after the father supposedly dead, then he starts like noticing things.
Yeah. I think I might do a scene actually, because we've not done one yet, so it could be
Oh,
interesting
right,
to see
yeah.
how this goes. I'm just trying to think what would make a good scene. We want something ideally, because with the scenes, the way they work is that everyone involved would pick a character and then act out a scenario until we answer a question. So I, as the person
Okay.
putting the scene down, would raise the question and say, what if this happened, or how did this happen, something like that. We'd all pick characters to play that fit into that. I don't tell anybody what characters they're going to play, everyone gets to pick that themselves, and then we basically act it out until that question gets answered. So I'm just looking for something that would work quite well, that also ties into the curse. I'm thinking maybe the king notices he's ill. I'm going to put, if it will let me do it, duplicate. I'm going to put a dark scene in the king notices he's ill. And how does he notice he's ill? There we go. So, out of this... Oh, shit. There's one character that has to be there. So the king has to be there because he's the one that's going to notice he's ill. But then that leaves two other characters potentially. Now, like I say, the way it
That can
works...
be anyone.
Yeah, the way it works is people can throw ideas for what characters they want to be there. There's also the idea as well that someone could play time as a character. And the way that would work is along the lines of something like if people were revolting and they're slowly gaining upon somebody. So it could be like a king in a castle and there's a riot happening outside. The person playing
Oh, that kind of
time-
revolting.
Yeah, the person playing time could basically be saying, yeah, this is where they're at now. They're at the doors, they've knocked the doors down, they're in the main hall, that sort of thing. So someone could play time in that way and
Oh.
have something that builds up. Or you could play an actual character. So you could just pick someone that's going to be there. Given that his dad's turned into a flower, you could potentially play his dad, but you wouldn't really be saying an awful lot. But other than that, yeah, it's open to interpretation what people want to be. So, does anyone want to be the king, first of all? If not, I'll be the king, that's fine.
Yeah, you can be the king.
I
Yep.
was thinking whether I wanted to be time.
Yeah, okay.
I like the idea of tying it in with the nature thing and it being time as like a pun thing of like THYME.
So an actual
Like-
character called Time.
Yeah, time is actually time, but it's also the embodiment of the actual herb.
It could potentially be like it's one of the woodland spirits is called Time, and yeah, they just grow herbs, like that's their thing. Yeah, potentially. Alright, so we've got the king who's started to notice he's ill. Fran, are you playing just as in time in general, or do you want to play time as in the idea that Dom's concocted?
No, I was thinking about playing time in general.
Yeah, that's fine. So you'll be
So-
an ever-present thing ticking along then.
No, that's what I meant though. I meant both. I meant like it being
Oh, right.
both
Oh.
things. Like as in like time as in the concept of time and then being like, old father time or mother time in
right.
this instance, but also it being like a punny sort of thing of like it's also time as in THYME. Like there's somehow this duality between the sort of the nature kingdom of like that and then also being the embodiment of time itself.
So almost like a god, rather than just being a general woodland spirit. Time is like a god in this world, then, sort of thing.
I mean,
Potentially.
would you say time's a god? That time's more of it's a concept, isn't it? It's more of a
Yeah, we can write the rules and do whatever the fuck we want in this game, though, to be fair. As long as there's no time travel, that's the one thing that it is forbidden in
time
this
is
game.
because I'd see time as more than a god because time has, it just has control over everything, So it's more of a if you were putting it onto tiers of where it falls, like time and death, I feel would be higher than gods because they are, they are forces, I suppose. They are forces of reality and stuff like that.
Yeah. Alright, that sounds fine.
I'm trying to give Fran even more power than just being a god.
Yeah, well, to be
not just-
You're
fair,
just making things more difficult for me.
I was going to say, to be fair, Fran is in control of time, so she could literally just be like, right, time says this has happened now. Dom, what do you want to do? What character would you like to play? Is there anything... Like, it can be an entirely new character we've never had before, or it could be someone who we've introduced previously.
Ooh, I mean, we've only got a small, like, in terms of characters we've introduced, we only have a small pool of characters, so we would have to potentially maybe introduce some more, I don't know. I don't know, it depends on how broad we want to make this. Bearing in mind, obviously, it is like 10 to 8 now, so I'm guessing we're not going to start the acting out sort of side of this until another stream.
Oh, we can squeeze it into 10 minutes. All we need to do is just answer the question of how the king knows that he's ill. Why have I just wrote broad? I meant to write king. King time. So yeah, I mean, in theory, we could get it done in 10 minutes because we are just trying to work out why the king, like, how does he notice he's ill? So it could be the case that he literally looks at his arm and goes, "Oh shit, my arm's fallen off," or something like that. Or it could be
Yeah.
something a bit more
Yeah,
in
okay.
depth.
Like, as time, do I like say, like for example, I don't know, it's morning, he's just waking up for his morning bath or whatever, and
In a way, the way time would normally work is it would be sort of like an outside influence. So it would be more if something's happening that causes a time crunch, rather than sort of dictating what happens. So, like, going back to the scenario, it'd be like if there's riot is happening outside, time would control the flow of them and how quickly they're coming towards the person. Or it could be that a building's burning down, time gets to decide how quickly that burns down, things like that. So it's
so
more...
basically I act out as based on what you guys say.
Yeah, so it could be that
Kind
if
of.
you think that I am taking too long saying something as a king, time could step in and say something happens that makes the king hurry along. So it could be that I'm talking for ages near a tree and a branch falls off and I have to dodge out the way and that sort of stops me mid-flow, or something like that. So that's
Okay.
sort of how time would work. It would be basically keeping the pace of the thing so you could speed things up or slow things down.
Yeah, I'm finding myself lost again now, going from us building the concept of the story and now having to think about like acting it out, but not really knowing like how we're gonna act it out. And so I'm like, I've kind of lost the thread again myself now.
No, that's fine. What we can do is I can get rid of the scene then, and if you want to do that, if we do another session of this and start with a scene, so we've got more time to prep for it, if that would be better. I mean, it's up to the both of you. I don't mind either way. I can do another event instead if you want to just wrap it up that way and we just all put one more event in.
Yeah, probably would be better like we start the next stream with this scene.
Yeah, because I
feel
feel
like
from my perspective, and I don't know if Fran agrees, but like we've just kind of got our heads around like this aspect of the game, of the whole inventing the story and stuff. So then having to take it into the next phase of like improvising lines of dialogue and things like that. It's like maybe that's we do that for the next one.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll keep it to one side because that's something I'll come back to if we get the chance next time. And then instead, what I'll do then, so the overarching thing was the curse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So in that case, I'll move that back up there and have a little bit of a think about what else we can do. I like how everyone's given a wide berth to the king pulling something from his ass. Like that. No one's really come back to that yet.
I mean, I know, I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to go with that after everything else that we've set up.
Alright, I'll leave that alone. So no, I'll leave that one for you to fill in. No pun intended.
You want me to fill in what comes out of his ass?
Yeah, once he's pulled something out, I want you to put it back in. Right,
oh, I say.
I was thinking maybe something around here, so something to do with the woodland spirits becoming more mechanical.
Yeah, I was just thinking as well, the other thing about saving the like acting out until the next time thing and everything, it means that we can get Lauren in and she can be the queen.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get Lauren's stuff sorted out. Lauren actually has just said, "Sweet baby Jesus and the orphans, this stream." Right, okay, I'm going to add another event here after the woodland spirits becoming more mechanical.
Sweet baby Jesus and the orphans. I'd buy their album.
Actually, do you know what? No, I'm going to keep it there. Storms.
Yeah, but are you the mother of the king or the king's wife?
Try to think how to word this again.
Yeah, the mother. I was thinking the mother of the like, because she's quite a central character to a lot of what we've set up until this point. Because that's the other thing. Like we've established that the father, the Treebeard, becomes a bunch of flowers, and then did the bunch of flowers get given to somebody on Mother's Day or something like that?
Just picking my dad. Don't worry.
He's stuck in a vase, and he's like, "I'm alive, damn it!"
What have you done to me, son? Just planted him in compost. I'm still alive. What are you doing?
But like outside of that, the mother, the princess, well, I suppose she'd be the queen mother now, wouldn't she, if he becomes the king? But like, she is still around, presumably, because we haven't defined if she's not. Like she survives the birth, she's disappears with the child and all that kind of stuff. So presumably the mother's still going to be playing a part in things.
Okay, I've put my suggestion down. So, it's a dark period during the king's isolation. After the woodland spirits start becoming more mechanical, irradiated thunderstorms begin striking heavily populated areas of the kingdom.
Oh yeah, because we haven't actually said anything about natural disasters.
Yeah, so that's added in there now. So, it's Dom's turn to add something about the curse.
Right, what were some of our things again that we came up with, originally when we were chatting in message and
the
stuff?
things to add into it.
Yeah.
They are steampunk, fantasy tropes, and natural disasters.
Okay. So, and what was your thing again? Irradiated what, sorry?
Irradiated thunderstorms begin striking heavily populated areas of the kingdom.
I want to add on to that then.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back into the fantasy tropes again, and because that's my bag, baby. So the thunderstorms and stuff, when they hit the ground, they cause fissures, and from these fissures emerge creatures, dark, sinister creatures.
I'm guessing that's going to be a dark event in that case then.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Right, so sinister creatures emerge from fissures caused by the lightning.
And
So it's like-
it'll be interesting to see how it ties to the actual curse.
I mean,
Kind
it
of
could all
like
be.
a side effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, I mean, I'm sort of in my, already, top of my head, I'm thinking about, you know, like in terms of the plagues of Egypt kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
first come the irradiated lightning storms, and then beasts crawl from
Oh,
the
yeah,
earth,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
blah,
Oh,
blah,
that's
blah.
Lauren's put,
Absolutely.
ooh, cue Vincent Price laugh. Right, so I believe it is Fran, and then that's the end of the round, so that pretty much ties us up quite nicely.
So I have to say one more thing about the curse.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just have a look at this beautiful board.
It is looking quite full now. We're building quite the history here. Lauren said, how has it been almost 2 hours?
Almost 2 hours. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, 1 hour and 52 minutes and 27 seconds.
And we still haven't found a way to get the dick hammer in.
No, we haven't actually. Stay Curious is going to be devastated.
I'm gonna say a dark event under the birth of the king.
Okay, oh, where's my mouse gone? Oh, there it is.
And actually you can put down as it like the start of the curse, like when the king is cursed. That's when that happens,
So,
or that's more like a period thing.
yeah, I'm just trying to think what would be the best way to do it. We could, I'd probably say an event would be best, because with a period it would be something that spans a fair amount of time, like a good
Yeah.
sort of, like with the birth of the king, that would last a fair amount of time and it's a milestone event. The curse, I'd probably say it would be something that only would, like the curse
Yeah.
itself would only be like 10 minutes or so, like they'd just be like,
So
you're
you
cursed.
could put like the woodland spirits curse the king.
Right, Woodland spirits
Place a
curse
curse
the king.
on the king.
What is interesting is the fact that they protected the embryo, so that means that someone has done something to anger them as well, so that's a good angle that we could start to look into as well.
Did we not? I thought we'd kind of established, though, that it was maybe something to do with them absconding with the child, like not giving the child to the forest creatures or whatever.
Yeah.
So in that case,
So they would initially be, you know, part of it, part of the creation due to this
Yeah.
ritualistic orgy. They'd be there for the birth, they'd bless the child, they'd bless the health of the child, but then when the child was not allowed to stay with them, or, you know, not necessarily, I don't even necessarily mean in that sort of way of like, you have had the child, now give it to us, but like, you know, more like,
Yeah.
you have had the child and now you stay with us, you're part of us. But then she's
Yeah.
like, no, fuck this, I'm off, you people are fucking crazy.
yeah, because it sort of implies as well that, yeah, if he's become a king and he has a kingdom, it's almost implied that it's going to be somewhere that's not particularly natural. So yeah, potentially, yeah, if the dad was trying to hide the kid and then further down the line they then move, that could then be what triggers the curse. But who knows? That's
Yeah.
something we can decide at a later date. So would the woodland spirit curse then in that case come after the king's father tries to hide the baby?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that is a result of trying to hide the baby.
Cool.
I believe that in classic storytelling tropes is known as the grand betrayal.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So yeah, just punching my mic there. So yeah, right, that wraps things up for now. So we'll do a run through just to see what we've got in this story so far. So the start of it all: a banished family discover nature flourishing around them. The princess is banished for falling in love with a creature who lives in the forest. The next period: before the king was born. Woodland spirits enforce the no, it's entice, not enforce. I can't even read my own typing.
Well, they could as well force them
yeah.
onto.
It gives it a bit of a
orgy.
different tone, doesn't it? The woodland spirits entice the family into an orgy. The king's mother finds out she's pregnant. The king's parents begin to settle. The king's parents are attacked, which we haven't covered anything around that really, so that's another area that would be interesting to focus on. The woodland spirits protect the embryo of the king. Then the next period is the birth of the king. The mother gives birth under a blood moon surrounded by woodland creatures. The king is born with a greenish hue. The king's father tries to hide the baby from the woodland spirits. The woodland spirits then curse the king. The king's youth. The king's father turns into a human-shaped flower arrangement. The king then starts to notice he's different from others, and the curse manifests for the first time when he walks through a field of flowers and they start dying. The king is then officially recognized as a king by pulling something out of his ass, which gives him power. Then, there is a new age of prosperity, where the king notices he's ill, and the woodland spirits start to lose their power. The king then goes into isolation. The woodland spirits start becoming more mechanical. Irradiated thunderstorms begin striking heavily populated areas of the kingdom. Sinister creatures emerge from fissures caused by lightning. And then the end of our history: plants die as inky clouds blot out the sun. That is shaping up to be a damn good story.
I know,
It is.
right?
It really is. When you read it all back in its entirety like that, it's like, ooh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's the magic of Microscope. That's what's so great about this game. You have these little tiny bits that you slowly build and build towards. Then when you step back and look at the whole thing, you think, damn, that is actually really interesting. And you start to see bits that you want to hone in on more and chip away at.
Yeah, the fact that we can still flesh out even further aspects of this.
So yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I'm guessing you're both interested in doing more of this at some point. If
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
So, we'll try and arrange something at some point to do more of this then. Hopefully we can try and get Lauren to come in and get the Discord stuff sorted out. Yeah, so I want to say thank you to Dom and Fran. If you both want to give shout outs to any links that you have that you want people to go and see and go visit. Dom, you can go first, feel free.
Okay. Just what? Say it verbally, yeah.
Yeah, just read it out and then.
I
can't be asked typing. You can type it if you want, but it's up to you.
You can find. Do you have a shout out command?
No, I've not set that up yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you can find me at twitch.tv/geekdom78, lowercase, all one word, where I stream on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Monday and Friday, normally 8 p.m. UK, and Wednesday, 7 p.m. UK, with the Sunday being a Dreams Chill stream where I just showcase lots of amazing things that people are creating with the Dream software, and that normally starts about 5:30 p.m. and that's just like a nice chilled thing. I'm also on YouTube as well, Geek-Dom78 on YouTube as well. So yeah, come and check me out on those places.
There you go. Fran, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitch as well. Is twitch.tv/ all in one word Fran's Corner YT. And I stream every Saturday at 3 p.m. And right now I'm currently trying the Sims 4 100 Baby Challenge. I just started, and it's a lot of fun. But otherwise, I normally play Yakuza and a lot of other games.
There we go. So yeah, thank you both for doing this. It is genuinely a pleasure to play this game with people who have such interesting ideas.
Interesting. That's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, given the fact that both me and Fran were both a little bit like, oh, all the rules and how complicated it seemed, and whether like how we were going to do with it. I think it's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for introducing this idea to us, Ian.
That's right. I mean, like I said, when we were doing the group chat, I did mention that once you actually play it, you understand it more. It is one of those games where to read it, you look at it and go, "What the fuck is this?" But then as soon as you
that
play
was pretty much me every time you posted
Yeah.
a message. Yeah.
But then as soon as you play it, it starts to click, and you go, "Oh right, yeah, actually, yeah, it makes a lot of sense."